You are listening to the Daily Homily for Magdala in the Holy Land.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Once, when Jesus was praying in solitude, and the disciples were with him, he asked them, "Who do the crowds say that I am?" They said in reply, "John the Baptist, others Elijah, still others, one of the ancient prophets has arisen." Then he said to them, "But who do you say that I am?" Peter said in reply, "The Christ of God." He rebuked them and directed them not to tell this to anyone. He said, "The Son of Man must suffer greatly and be rejected by the elders, the chief priests, and the scribes, and be killed, and on the third day be raised." The Gospel of the Lord. There's a very powerful word in the Gospel reading that maybe we did not notice. And the word is, "I am." Who do you say that I am? And this word is very difficult for a Jewish person to hear without remembering the name God spoke to Moses at the burning bush. Moses asked him, "What name can I tell the people? Who are you that's sending me?" And what did God answer? "I am." And Jesus asked them, "Who do the crowd say that I am?" And especially as the early Christians related this incident, and now they know more about Jesus because they went from zero to huge growth in knowing Jesus. Sometimes we stay at the first step, but there are many steps to grow into Jesus. St. Paul said, "The knowledge of Christ is so wide and so high and so deep and so rich, we cannot exhaust it. We will still be discovering in heaven." The mystery of God incarnate, the Word made flesh. But who do you say I am? And at the beginning, these were all Jewish listeners, and they hear this word, and it becomes so meaningful for them as they mature in their awareness of the divinity of Christ. This is a big mystery, to know who is Jesus, to know the richness of his humanity and the richness of his divinity. Sometimes when children are in school, they are just thinking about getting out to play. Sometimes when we are sick, we are just waiting for it to be over, to be healthy again. And there's a time for everything. This was the first reading. This is such a good, wise observation of human life. There are so many different times for different things. Times to play, times to study. Times for exams, times for relaxation. Times with your parents, times with your brother or sister. Times for all different things. And it's always changing, all the time. How do we handle the times we have? And some people just live that moment, the joy and the thrill of that moment. But it has a bigger plan. And even already in this book of Ecclesiastes, the author understands this. His mind has seen the depth I have considered the task God has appointed for us to be busied about. He has made everything appropriate to its time. Alessandra is one of the consecrated women working in Magdala, and she is very worried now because there are 3 or 4 weddings booked for local Christians. And because of the circumstances, they can't have their wedding. But it's not just because of these situations. I actually knew a couple about 30 years ago in Germany, and he was from the Netherlands, and they were engaged, and they had the date fixed for their marriage. And the government called him, because he was in public service, to go to Cambodia immediately. He was with the special soldiers of the UN, but one of the leaders for the Dutch government, and they had to postpone their wedding for 6 months. Big disappointment. They just wanted to be married. And then afterwards, if you ask them now, 30 years later, and they will tell you those 6 months were a gift from God. They were so difficult. So just imagine things in our lives, we think we control all the times. We don't. God controls the times. We had so many plans and COVID started. We had so many plans and this war started. This is life. You have plans at home and the car doesn't start and you cannot go on the trip. Small things, big things. A family member is not feeling well, we have to delay the plans to go shopping. It's life. To recognize God's hand in these events of life. And even Jesus, he is teaching the disciples, don't tell anybody now I am the Messiah. Because they will go crazy. They think I will be the king and I'll throw out the Romans. It's not the time for this. I have to be crucified. And they didn't understand. It was very hard news for them. They expected a triumphant Messiah. And Jesus' triumph is on the cross, nailed to the cross. Look at that cross. The people come and they kiss Jesus' feet here so often. It's so beautiful to see their devotion. Jesus knows he has to do this. And he is preparing the disciples to understand his path of salvation, which is really our salvation. For us and for our salvation, he came down on earth. This is beautiful. To learn the meanings of time. Sometimes it's for being young. Sometimes for being grandparents and great-grandparents. Our life has different phases. To know the time, not to complain. Sometimes people say, oh, I wish I was young. No, be very happy you are this age. This is your time in God's presence. And now you are so mature and you know the time you have. This is beautiful. Sometimes people see the train went, I didn't make it to university. The train went, I didn't get that job. Somebody else got it. It's your time. God has your time in his hands. What a great wisdom Jesus is teaching us. Blessed is the Lord, my rock. That's why Jesus went to pray. That's why you are here at Mass, because you know the Lord is your rock. No matter what the circumstances are, anywhere, in the church, in society, in your family, in your neighborhood, you are with the Lord, and this is your time with him and his time with you. What a great way to live. Blessed the Lord, my rock.
Thank you for joining us today. If you want to learn more about Magdala, follow us on YouTube and on Facebook.